Justified, laid behind the storm. You live to die, rejected and alone, like a rose trampled on the ground. You took the fall and thought of me above all, like a rose trampled on the ground. You took the fall and thought of me above all, like a rose trampled on the ground. You took the fall and thought of me above all. Hello family, I hope you are doing well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching. Welcome back to Encounter with God podcast. This space is where we share real stories, that point us back to our creator God. And if this is your first time here, welcome. If this is your second time here, I'm so glad you're part of this community, and thank you for trusting this journey with me. My name is Irene Wende, and today we continue from where we stopped last episode. So my prayer, I've been praying for you guys, and my prayer is that every person listening, wherever you are, may you feel God's presence. May the words that I'll be sharing today and the next time not be mine, but from God. And may He open our hearts, open our ears, and may every story shared bring glory to God. So today in this episode, I am talking about the wounds, the ones that happens before we even know how to name them, the ones that shaped us before we had a say. So I want you to hold on to this verse, Psalm chapter 147, verse 3. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. So hold on to that verse because you're going to need it, And today I want to go back to the beginning of the grief, back to when I was just a little girl who did not fully understand what was happening, but whose life was already being redirected by God. And those are the moments that we are about to share today, So yes, my father was not present, but God was present, But I'm going to share exactly, Irene, how she felt in those moments, and also how God, revealed Himself to me, that He was present till now, because He does everything for a reason. So I'll also be sharing the moments I felt like I missed. I think I missed spending time with my mom when she was going through all that, because I was going to school, she was going to work, and then after work she was spending after everything that began and the shift, she started spending most time in the hospital, and that was not her choice, but the condition that she was in, made everything different. So I feel like I missed my moment to say goodbye, a proper goodbye. I was just 10 years, I want you to sit with that for a second. Like, Irene was just 10 years old. I do not understand what death is, I don't understand permanence, I did not understand that the person you keep waiting for is not coming back. I missed the moment to say like proper goodbye. I did not understand the times, the moments I did, they were like the last times I would see her again. I was just a child, trying to make sense of a world that was suddenly very loud. All of a sudden it's loud. and at the same time it's very quiet, and I remember the anger right now, I remember the confusion right now, the question I could not even form properly because I was too young to have the words. And sometimes grief is not loud. Yeah, sometimes grief is not loud, because sometimes it is a child standing still, not knowing what to do next. I was just there, like I was just there. I did not understand anything. I received the love from my auntie, my uncle, my shush, my uncle Dan as well. But I did not understand these moments. So I've told you I carried this anger for years, because after she passed away, I became angry at William, at my biological dad, Kingo. As much as I did not know Kingo, but I wanted William to step up, to step in. I wanted someone to step in and fill the shoes of my mom. I wanted someone to say, I see you, I have you, you are not alone. But that did not happen. Like, it's my auntie, my uncle, and Uncle Dan, my shush, that came in, And the silence of that unmet expectation became its own kind of wound. And that is why, as how I expressed myself last episode, it's a wound that it's not yet completely healed, but it is in the process of healing. And I'm sharing this because I know God, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and saves those who are crushed in spirit. And I'm not sharing this to carry bitterness. I have done the work of forgiving. I've involved God in my process, and I will talk more about this in the next journey. But today I am being honest with you, because I know some of you know this feeling, the feeling of waiting for someone to show up for you, and they actually don't meet those expectations. You're not alone in that feeling. God never asks us to pretend the pain isn't real. He asks us to bring it to him, And, well, I'll continue from where I stopped last time. Before my mom passed away, I had moments with her, a few moments with her. So there was a time, now she can't go to work, she can't really fully provide for everything. So I was sent back because of school fees. It was during lunchtime. Yeah, I remember that day. I cannot forget that day, because I found my mom at home. My auntie was at home, Auntie Eunice was at home, and they cooked lunch. I had a moment, I did sit next to my mom. I had a moment with her. She was okay. That day it was normal for me. That day looked normal for me. And I had time, at least I was given time to go back home and spend time with my mom, and that was special to me. I won't lie. But my mom did not like the fact that I was sent back home and my auntie was there. And I think my auntie went back to school and talked to the director. She was called Madam Nganga, and she explained what was happening at home. I could not do it because I was still young. I did not understand these things. I did not understand what was going on. And my auntie really stepped up for me and my family. Uncle Dan as well. They really supported my mom during this season. They showed up. They took care of her. They came in, cooked for us. They ensured we were okay. My mom was okay. And I just thank God for them. Thank you so much, Auntie. Thank you so much, Uncle. I love you so much, both of you. So much for stepping up for my mom. Maybe no one has ever told you thank you, but for me, I'll just say thank you. I've said it even in person. And, thank you for stepping up. Thank you so much for stepping up. I don't take that for granted. Most relatives leave when problems come in, but you did not leave. You did not choose to leave. You had that choice, but you did not choose to do that. So let me just share a few moments that I had with my mom, so that I go back to sharing my life in school. So I had a few moments with my mom. That moment when I was sent back home. that I remember. And then the other moment was when we were sitting outside the house and we were having a chat, and it felt normal, real, you know, like it was okay. Like I missed that moment, because those are a few moments that I remember that I did spend with her before everything went left, everything shifted. So I carry those moments in my heart because I don't remember them so well, but I remember that like it was so special that I had to feel like now she remembers me. We had that moment, that parent, mother, daughter moment. Yes. And I was young, but I still remember. And I carry them. Yeah, I carry them. They were very special. So I guess things started worsening. She went back to the hospital. And now that's the moment where she never came back. So I feel like this moment now I missed it of saying goodbye. Yes, I think I missed the moment of saying goodbye. And saying goodbye is all I wanted. Yeah, I think when I think of it, after I started understanding everything, I really wanted to have that moment when I really wanted to say goodbye to my mom, but I missed that moment, which is okay, It is totally okay, And I respect the fact that God had to allow it to go that way. Because maybe if I would have said goodbye, it could have tortured me, and maybe it would have worsened my situation, like going to school affected my studies, because it started affecting me after I started understanding things in class 6 years, like okay, this is happening. So I was coming from school the day I received the news, like they were shared to me like in a different way, so maybe I did not understand what was going on. So coming from school, I met my aunt, I think, on the way. And my auntie told me, we love you, we'll be there for you, we'll take care of you, don't ever be worried. I'm 10 years old. How am I supposed to understand these things? So I went home, I reached home. Okay, now I'm not getting news about my mom anymore. Now I'm starting seeing relatives coming at our home. I'm like, what's going on here? What's really going on here? I remember we had a chat with my Aunt Eunice, and she told me, I didn't know we love you so much, don't even have stress. We'll take care of you, we're your mom now. And I'm like, okay. This that was tough to hear. Right now I am understanding everything, but then it was just normal for me. Like, I wish I could understand, but all the wishes, let us leave them behind, because it happened, it has already happened, we need to move on. So she expressed all that, and I was like, okay, sawa. So on the day of the burial, I saw William from afar. He came for the burial. So let me tell you something my auntie told me that I never knew. So when my mom was in the hospital, my auntie called him, and he did not show up. He did not, I guess my auntie wanted some financial support, but he did not support. But during the burial, he was willing to support. He assisted in, the grave separation, like preparations of the grave and everything. Like, who does that? That was hard to hear. Yeah, that was really hard. And I will share what I feel about. That was really hard to hear. And So, give me a moment, guys. He came to the barrier. I remember his face. I remember his face. I remember. He came to the barrier. I did not see him closer to me, but I saw him from afar. He came. Yes, he did come. So, and I saw him, but he never said hi. I saw him and he left. I saw him coming in and leaving. Yes. And we never talked. Like, we looked at like strangers. Yeah. God, there are moments like I still remember, and it is so crazy. The pictures are in my head on like how the event was like. Well, I forgive you, man. I'm trying to forgive you, but I am asking God to give me the grace to forgive you 100%. So he came in and left, not saying hi to his only son Moses and me. Who does that? Who does that? I'll leave you with that question. Who does that? Well, hey, so I'll say this. I guess I missed the moment to say goodbye because I did not cry on that day. Let me just tell you guys the truth. I did not cry on that day. I remember the day, but I don't think I remember a point where I cried on that day, the day we buried our mother, my mom. I don't think I cried. You know why? Because I did not understand what was going on. Like, that is the reason why I'm telling you guys, I missed the moment to embrace that my mom will never be, I did not cry on that day, but I cried like my entire life later. That is the painful thing. Yes, I cried later, like for years now, because at that moment I did not understand, but now later I did understand what was going on, and it was really tough. So after my mom passed away, so everybody life continued. I joined class 6 2012. Well, when I joined, this is what God does. God does things in a very miraculous way. My auntie, I guess, did explain well what was going on at home to the director, and she was so willing to support me. Yes, I was not a performer, guys. I did not perform well in school. I did not. I won't lie. Before my mom passed away, when I was in class 543, I was among the last people in the class. But in class 6, things shifted. I'll share that later. So now, after my mom passed away now, my grandmother, man, this woman, she chose to come stay with us. She gave up her home and came to stay with us at where my mom had left as a home. And she took care of my brother and I. And that is something I don't take for granted up to date. She's a gift from God to me. And she used to ensure that I've gone to school. She wakes me up at 5 a.m., ensure that I've taken tea, and then we go to school together. She ensured that, I was safe. This woman, she's a blessing to me. She's a blessing to my brother, to my family. Things overwhelming for my grandmother, and my uncle Dan. Auntie decided to take me to her home, welcomed me into her home, and my brother stayed with my shush. My brother was like 2 years, yeah. He was a baby. He was still a baby, 2 years. He was still a baby. My auntie and uncle took me in. And that is where the separation happened, I was separated from my brother. It is not like at a like it that was meant to happen. That was meant to happen. That was meant to happen for my own good, maybe. And yes, for my own good. Um, my brother was very young, so I missed moments of spending time with him. I missed those moments because I was in school Monday to Saturday. Sunday is the only time I could go and see my shush and him. And that was the only day I could spend time with him, you know. That was not easy. But I remember I promised myself one thing. I promised when I grow up, when I finish my high school, I will ensure that I am connected with my brother fully. Like, he's my priority. And let me tell you, God is not only on the grand moments, He's in the whispered promises of a child who had nothing else to hold on to. So I kept promising myself, Irene, when you finish school, you'll ensure that you take care of your brother. You'll ensure that you be connected with your brother 100%. You'll ensure that you have, you have recreated, you have rebuilt the bond that bond. And let me tell you, that promise, God knows, God knows that promise I made, and He has not let me down, because right now I'm living that promise, because now I'm checking up on him. My auntie, my family knows my priority is my brother. I'm taking care of him. My shosh as well, And it's not that God knows our heart's desire and the plans He has for us are for good. He gives, because right now I'm living that promise I made when I was young. Now my brother, we talk like every week, if possible on Fridays. I am able to take care of his needs. I am working. I am able to, not by my means, but by God's means, I am able to do that. And let me tell you guys, that promise I made when I did not know what next. I was very young, and it was for God's glory. So let's talk about my school moments. So after my mom passed away, I was doing well in school, actually. I was disciplined, but I was not performing well in school. I was among the last students in class. 100%, I won't lie to you guys. I was among the last year in primary school. Yeah, before class 6. So when I joined class 6, things shifted. Remember, the head teacher has given me full scholarship to finish my studies, my primary level studies. At that moment, I don't understand what God is doing. I won't lie. At that moment, you don't really understand. You're just taking things normal. That's okay. Thank you. I'll be sharing that later, how that looks like. So, I continued my studies. I was going to Neema Junior Academy, so it was a private school. Back then, it was really good school. I won't lie, it was the top schools in Kibwezi. I continued with the studies, I was not performing well. I was not. But God's mercy. Who am I to receive such kind of love, and support? And yet Irene used to get 200 marks over 500 marks. But when I joined class 6, I was not understanding what God is doing in my life. I was not, but now I understand, and I'm now here to share it with you. So I joined class 6. Now class 6, things shifted. Now in class 6, that's when, everything started making sense. Okay, so we buried mom last year, November. Okay, now I will not be able to see her again. So the realities now came in. So the funny thing is, when you do when you did anything to me at that moment and it triggered that, I would cry. And then I had my class teacher, he told me, if anybody wrongs you, please come report. Where? I reported people, but it's not that I was crying because of them, what they did. I cried because of the loss, because I used to go tell my mom how my day was. I used to go tell my mom, hey, this happened at school, but now I have no one to share that with. I cried most of the time. If anything triggers that, I would cry so much. So I can tell the 2012 was the year where I really got too much emotional, and I had to feel the feels. I had to allow myself to cry about it, and I did at that age. Yes, I did. But even at my age, I also did at some point. So I did cry at some point. Yeah, I'll be sharing that also. Yes, so we continue. My class teacher really ensured that I was okay, and I thank him for that. The head teacher caned me like crazy to ensure that I performed well in school. I'm giving you a fully funded scholarship to finish up your studies. I'm paying your tuition, and you're bringing jokes in school. I had to read, I had to study, I had to perform well, I had to now get my life together and move on. My performance started getting better, because I remember from 200, that was the last cane I received from her, to 300 marks, and then from 300 to 381. I remember this day, my class teacher came in with the results he came to tell us our performance. So he stood in front of the class. He had our papers, and he was calling each and everyone to receive their own paper. It was math results, mathematics. He started from the bottom. Mimi, I was used to getting 40%, 48%, 52%. I remember. So he pulled each and every one. So we got to 60, top 60, and I was like, what is going on? So I was holding a stapler. I remember I was holding a stapler, and I was so nervous. I was doing like this. God, we're top students top 60%. I'm like, what? Did he miss my paper? Did he leave my paper because I performed so badly, poorly? Where's my paper? And then I was sitting next to a top student, Moses and Mercy. They were among the top students, actually index 1 and index 2. Hey, I'm there again, top 70. Hey, no, God, where's my paper? I think my paper is what have I done? So remember, all these questions are coming to my head, and I have a stapler in, tell me why I found myself, I stapled myself. I was like, God, I'm nervous. I could not even feel the pain because I was so nervous. We got to top 80% student. Everybody in the class was also nervous. What wamebaki there, the top students, Irene is there. How did Irene make it up there? How did she do it? Hey, 84. I got 86% in maths, from 40%, 50% to 86. And that was the time that I got 381 marks. And that shifted everything since that day. And I became top math student in the class. I used to do those math questions like 1 minute, in seconds, I'm done. I am telling you, God stepped in. When I look back, God stepped in. Moses Kingo was index 1 in our class, so we became friends, and he reminded me of my brother Moses, and then Kingo, my biological dad. So he doesn't know this, but I'm putting this here because at that moment I felt safe with him. He was like a brother to me, and even people used to say, you guys look like brother and sister. We used to go play together. We used to do this together. We used to do this together. And another friend of mine, index 2, she was called Mercy Mudeu. Mercy, man, she became a blessing. She used to, the girls talk, we used to share a lot. We used to pray a lot. She had a relationship with God. And that is how I started my journey with God, step by step. And now we became friends. I now associated myself with people with the same dream, determination, with the same, vision. And that is how, I kept a healthy friendship. I got friends who really impacted me and made me smile. Yeah, so let's talk about this scholarship that I received from Madam Mkanga, the director of my primary school. Let me tell you, that was not just a financial provision. That was God saying, I see you, Irene. I have not forgotten you. You belong to that classroom. You belong in your future. And remember, at that age, I did not fully understand the weight of what had happened. You sometimes don't recognize the miracles until you look back. That is me. When I look back the scholarship was God's handwriting on my story. Like, God was writing my story. He was already showing me that he was a provider, a father, that he has not abandoned me just because my stepdad did not step in and other relative had moved on. Because what God provides, no circumstances can take away. And this woman, my grandmother, she sacrificed her home. She gave up her life and came to stay with us so that I could go to school. My brother would be taken care of. I could not be alone. She walked me to school. Like, I want to honor her because sometimes the people God sends do not come with titles. They come with the willingness to inconvenience themselves for you. And that is why I'm telling you, God blesses people in our lives who carry his love. God brought the right people since then. Like, he kept bringing the right people. In the middle of the grief, separation, uncertainty, he brought friends, even my classmates, children who did not know the full weight of what I was carrying, but who sat with me, laughed with me, prayed with me, and also played with me. Sometimes God sends you a friend not to fix your pain, but to remind you that joy still exists. And that is what I received, joy from these friends. They made me laugh, I remember a time where it did hit me. Like, what? She's not coming back. And in that moment, something in me changed. Like, I think that was the moment I began looking for God. I needed a father who would stay. And he was already there. He had been there all along. And in Psalms 23, verse 4, even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. That's my verse. Well, I've shared a lot, and before we close, I want us to reflect on these questions. I want to leave you with some questions, not to answer them, just to sit with. Maybe write them in a journal, your journal, maybe bring them to God in prayer. And I'll start off with the question that, I've been questioning myself. Is there a grief in your life that you never fully processed? Something you pushed down because life kept moving? Who in your life showed up for you when they didn't have to? For me, I have mentors. I will share. I have friends, who step in when, feels heavy. When things start, feeling heavy, they step up for me. Have you paused to say thank you for them? Is there someone you're still angry at for not showing up when you needed them? Yes, I was angry, but I chose to forgive. I chose to let them go. I chose peace. What would it look like to begin releasing that? Like letting them go. Like letting them go. Get your freedom back, Think back to a moment where God provided for you in an expected way. Do you recognize it now? Well, for me, I recognized it later. Like, okay, God has been there. I received that scholarship even when I did not start performing well. They believed in me even before I believed in myself. Well, for me, I know this episode I have shared a lot. It has been heavy for me. I know some of you are feeling things, you're feeling something. I need to let go of this person. I need to forgive. I need to, tell God thank you for this person, for stepping in, and that's okay. I know some of you are feeling things right now that you have not felt in a long time. Now you're thinking about that friend that you have not reached to for years. That's okay. That's a healing doing its work. You're not alone, You're not forgotten in your silence, and you're not defined by what was done to you or what was taken from you. I am not defined by the loss that I had, God, you're being shaped by God who wastes nothing. I'm repeating this. You're not defined by your loss. You are being shaped by God who wastes nothing. And we know that in all things God works for the good for those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Romans chapter 8, verse 28. And this is my prayer to you. I pray for every person right now, for those carrying grief, anger issues, they are wounded, they have never spoken out loud. For those who are angry at people who let them down. For those who are still waiting for someone to show up for them. Lord, please show up for them first. You already show up. You have always showed up for your people. And where we cannot see it yet, help us to trust the process. Heal the young versions of us that are still hurting, We have not let go fully. And remind us that you're a Father who stays. Well, it has been a journey for me. These episodes, they're making me feel like, I am sharing everything, which is good, which is really, really good. And it is putting me in a space where I don't want to hold on to anything that I think it will benefit you. It will help you also know, if Irene has gone through and I've gone through, okay, God really can do A, B, C, D. So in the next episode, I'm going to continue unpacking this journey. We will go deeper into what life looked like after everything changed. and how God began to reveal himself in ways I could not ignore. And this part, I cannot wait to share it with you, because whatever God does, either it brings you joy, it brings you sorrows, it is for God's glory. So keep me in your prayers. We are both still becoming, so make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, comment, share this with someone who needs it. So let's keep it real and see you in the next one. Bye. God loves you and I love you so much. Bye.